You've made a beautiful card. Don't you want a beautiful envelope to match? Today, I'm going to teach you how to create custom envelopes to go along with your gorgeous cards. And a bonus, we're going to be using the leftover designer series paper to create the cards. So this is also a fantastic one-sheet wonder project. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday tip video. I'm Connie Stewart with simplysimplestamping.com. And as I said, we're going to be creating a really incredible one-sheet wonder envelope template today. Guys, what's great, we're going to create the template. You're going to have this to use forever and ever and always, right? So whenever you need to create a custom envelope, you're going to be able to do it, and that template will already be made. So let's jump in and get started. We're going to begin with this card here. It's just a beautiful one, sending happy thoughts. Look, we're going to use all of our leftover designer series paper to create this fantastic card. But we're going to really get started with our envelope. So to start the template, we're going to need a little piece of chipboard. This is a 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. Now, I'm just using the chipboard that came behind my designer series paper. But if you didn't have this, if you have a cracker box or cereal box, something like that, that'll work too. You just want something a little bit stiffer than cardstock. All right. So 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lie this down here in the track. So point to point will lay right there in the track because I want to cut this into 2 triangles. All right. Get that all centered up. There's 2 identical triangles. I'm going to set one off to the side, and we're going to do a little cutting on the second one. So what I want to do, I want to take the point, and by the way, we're going to be cutting off these 2 sides. We're going to line this up. I'm using the straight edge here of my paper trimmer, and I'm setting the point at 4.5 inches. All right, and we're just going to line it up right there on that line, hold it down, cut it down to 4.5 inches. So now this triangle is a little bit smaller than our main triangle. All right, we want to now mark these. So on the larger one, this one is the top and the bottom of our envelope. Now I'm going to go ahead and write what this is and what I need to create it, which is a piece of paper 8.5 by 8.5. Now with our other one, this is going to be the sides. And as I said, this is the template you will use forever and ever. So now let's go ahead and bring in our 12 by 12 designer series paper. I'll show you how to cut that so you can create your envelope and your card. I'm going to be using the Wildly Flowering paper. I love this one. And again, what I love about this project is the inside of my envelope is just as beautiful as the outside. So the first thing we want to do is we want to cut this down to 8.5 inches. Hold on to this. We're going to do something with it in a second. We're going to rotate it around and we're going to create a square 8.5 by 8.5. And of course, that is for our envelope. But you see, we have these 2 pieces left over and they are both 3.5 inches wide here. We want to cut them down into 3 pieces that are 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. And that's what we're going to use to create our card. Now we're going to have some scraps left over, but that's perfectly fine. I know we always come up with a great project with our scraps. So I'm going to set those aside because we are ready to create our envelope. So let's bring in our template pieces. And we're going to start with the top and the bottom of the envelope. So you're going to line that up so that it's perfectly straight there on the sides. And it is a square, so there's no top or bottom just yet. It will be the top and bottom to the envelope. I've got my Take Your Pick tool and the Stylus tool. If you didn't have this, you could just use your bone folder. But I really want to get a nice crease there. And I'll go ahead and give that a fold so you can see that one, top and bottom. So we're going to do that here on the other side. So top and bottom are done. So now we can move on to the sides. And yes, it is a little bit smaller. We need it to be. So we're going to do this exact same thing. We're going to line up the side template here and here. All right. And we're just going to Do the same thing. Let's go ahead and give that a nice crease with our stylus tool. And that's the beginning of our envelope. Now we have some little triangles tucked right in here. We need to cut those away. Very, very simple. And one tip I have is to cut off the score line. So when you cut off this triangle, you want that score line to be a part of that triangle. All right. That's just going to cut a little bit of the bulk out of our envelope. So again, you're just going to go around all four sides. We're going to trim this away. At this point, you want to decide what do you want to be on the outside of your envelope and what do you want to be on the inside. I love this pattern, but I think I'm going to put that on the inside. So I'm going to bring the sides in, the bottom up, and of course, there is my envelope. I find that tear and tape is the best adhesive for this project. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom and I'm going to put adhesive. Let's see, I think I'll go right here down this end. Of course, you can tear it. I like to cut it. We'll put that on each end. I'm going to go ahead and add just a couple little pieces here on the side, just so we can make sure everything is good and adhered. So let me remove the backing from my tear and tape, and we're simply going to give that a fold and a press. There is our envelope. Now, because I have my tear and tape out, I am actually going to go ahead and put the adhesive, put the tear and tape here on the envelope so that when I'm ready to mail it, I'm ready to go. This is also great if you're going to be giving these cards away, because this way the recipient then has a way to seal up the envelope. So we're just going to go all the way down one end. I can give this a little quick trim down the other side. And friends, your envelope is ready to go. All right, so now let's make that really great matching card. I have a piece of Moody Mauve cardstock that is 4¼ by 5½. And I also have a piece of Early Espresso. And this is a 3¾ by 10. And then I've scored it at 5 inches. So that's what's going to make my card. And I'll tell you what, since I've got it here, let's go ahead. We're going to adhere this to the middle of our Moody Mauve card base. Remember those 3 pieces of designer series paper that we had? Well, we're going to use all 3 of these, but I want to use both sides. So I'm going to kind of look and see which sides are kind of my favorites. Like I really like that one. I think I'll use that one here on the inside. Again, get creative with how you want to break it up. But because the inside of my card is the other side of this designer series paper, it's really nice that you let both sides of the paper kind of shine through. So we'll add that one here, which just decorates the inside of our card. And now we'll take our remaining 2 pieces. I'm going to put one on the inside and one on the front. For my card today, I'm going to use the matching stamp set, and that is the Wildflower Designs stamp set. It's absolutely beautiful, and it has some really great sentiments, and I love the fonts too. So we are going to bring in, I've got a piece of Early Espresso that is 3¾ by 1 inch. Do you remember when we cut down the card base to 10 inches? Well, you know what? This is the piece that I cut off. So it's probably a scrap you already have laying there. And then I have a piece of basic white that is 3/4 of an inch by 3¾ So yep, that's just going to fit right on there. So let's go ahead. We're going to stamp our sentiment, and we're going to do that in Early Espresso ink. Now this is a really delicate thin line stamp. So remember, when you're doing a thin line stamp, you want to stamp a little bit lighter as well. And I'm just going to stamp Sending Happy Thoughts right there in the middle of my basic white. I'm going to adhere that onto the Early Espresso. I can now add that to the front of my card. Now let's work on our message. So for the inside, I've got a piece of basic white. This is a 3¼ by 4½. And for this one, we're going to say, you've been on my mind. And we'll do that in the Early Espresso as well. You've been on my mind. Stamp that right there. And then in the stamp set, of course, it's called Wildly Flowering, or no, it's called Wildflower Designs. Forgive me. We've got a beautiful little flower. So I'm just going to stamp that in the early espresso down there at the bottom. Now I thought I'd go ahead and color it. You can use Stampin' Blends or you can use Stampin' Write markers, whichever you prefer. And I'm going to do that in Moody Mauve and Wild Wheat. All right. So I'm going to bring in the Wild Wheat, and that's what I'll color my leaves in. And then I'm just going to lightly color in the petals of the flower, but I want to leave some of that white showing. There's just some really great detail I want to leave in there. All right, I'm going to add this to the inside of my card. To top it off, I've got a little linen thread bow. I'm going to take a mini glue dot. I'm just going to kind of roll it up here into a little ball. You can decide where you want your bow to go. I think for this one, I'm going to do it up here in the upper left corner. And we will add, it just looks so perfect, that little delicate bow. We've got a great place to write our message. Look at the gorgeous card. We can now bring in our envelope and ready for the magic. There we go. We'll be able to peel this off and mail our card. Now, what do you think of this? It's going to be tough to write a message here, right? Well, I want to show you what I did with my previous envelope. I actually just covered it with a piece of copy paper. So here I just added my tear and tape all the way around, again, because I don't want it to fall off in the mail. And I can just put my return address and the recipient's address right there. It allowed me a place where I can write that. It can go through the mail safely, but I've still got my gorgeous matching envelope. Friends, don't forget about the free download I have for you that goes along with today's video. It will have all your measurements, the instructions for the template, the supplies that I use. In fact, if you need a quick refresher, you can click or scan the QR code. It'll bring you right back to this video. And then there's also a complete supply list. Friends, if you're in the United States, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can just click this image, or there's a link as well. It'll take you right to my online store. You can order any of the Stampin' Up! Supplies I used right there. I've got another card and envelope to share with you. And this one, you can see the envelope's a little bit different. I just simply squared it off, and that's also very easy to do. And you can see this gorgeous paper. This is the Refreshed Beauty Designer Series paper. And we've got another fantastic card. So really quickly, we're going to go through this one. I'm going to go ahead and cut up the paper for you. Remember, we are going to start with an 8.5 by 11. I love this bright paper, and you see this one has a pattern up here and a pattern down here. It's actually going to work great for this project. So remember, we're going to cut it down 8.5 by 8.5, and then with our leftover pieces, 3 pieces that are 3.5 by 4 3/4. Now, because the inside of this paper is a little bit different, I thought I'd go over with you how to decide what you want to be on the top. So, of course, we have our template top and bottom. So kind of look at your paper. Like, I don't want necessarily that one to be what's showing up at the top. That's a little plain for me. The same would be true here. So I think I'm going to go with one of these ends. And looking at that, I think I like that one for the top. So you guys remember, we just line these up, top and bottom. We do some quick scoring with a stylus tool or a bone folder. Remember, when you're cutting away the little triangles, make sure you're cutting off the score line. So I remember this is what I want at the top. So, of course, I can do my little fold. Remember our little triangle. If you want that little triangle up there at the top gone, just simply score it. Cut that away. But I told you I wanted to teach you kind of a different little technique instead of this being that harsh point at the top of the envelope. So why not do something a little bit different? So I've laid my adhesive on the bottom of the envelope, and I'm going to go ahead and remove that and close up my envelope. Now I'm going to teach you where to cut so that you get kind of a straight edge envelope. With your envelope made, we're going to line up the edge of the envelope at 6.5 inches. We will trim off the top, and you can see that gives us just a very different look. And for this card, we just need the one strip of tear and tape up at the top. Beautiful. All right, now let's create the matching card. I'm going to be using Calypso Coral and Lemon Lime Twist. The measurements are exactly the same. So that is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And the lemon lime twist is 3 3/4. Yes, I had to verify 3 3/4 by 10. And of course, that is scored in half at 5 inches. So let's grab our 3 pieces of card or of designer series paper that we have. So you see, I have 2 that look great. And this one, of course, is going sideways and it really isn't showing off the flowers. So that one I'm going to put down, and this will be covered a little bit by where we're going to put our message. So I'm going to put that one here. And I'm going to take my 2 remaining pieces. We'll put one here and our last one here. All right, I have to stop for a minute and tell you something funny I did. I thought I was being so clever, going, oh, I want as much of those flowers to show. So I did with that 12-inch piece of designer series paper, I did all this creative cutting. Don't do that. Don't do that because I forgot I needed a place where I was going to stamp my message. Okay, mistakes happen. Do we even call it a mistake? No, it's just a creative opportunity. So let's see what I can do about adding my sentiment, "You've been on my mind." I love to find creative opportunities. All right. So my sentiment is going to need to be a little bit bigger than my last one. And remember, we only had a 1-inch piece that was left over. I simply cut it in half. In early espresso, I will stamp, "You've been on my mind." And by the way, I'm doing that in very vanilla. So I'm really just going to come along and I'm going to stretch this piece of lemon lime twist. Hey, I said we were going to get creative, right? We're going to add that right down there. And you know what? We're just going to make this look identical to the other card. But really, it's just a simple, simple little card. We'll add another linen thread bow right there. Now let's work on the inside of the card. So I've got a piece of very vanilla. We're just going to kind of swap these around. So this one, I will say, "Sending happy thoughts." And now I'm going to bring in a peach pie ink pad. And this little flower matches the one on this paper. So I'm going to stamp that down there in peach pie because you see it matches. That's peach pie there. But how am I going to get that calypso coral, those sweet little flowers? Let me show you. I've got my calypso coral marker. You could use Stampin' Blends as well. And I'm just going to tap, 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 tap. And I'm going to tap over those little dots that are there on the flowers. And now it really does match the designer series paper. Pretty cute, right? We're going to add that here to the inside. So we let a little bit of the opposite side of the designer series paper kind of shine through. Let me go ahead and show you my original one. But like I said, we can always get creative. I just tied a linen thread bow there around the sentiment and the card. Very, very sweet. Either way, you can't go wrong. And of course, that's going to slide right into my envelope. If you are going to send it through the mail, you can always add just a piece of white copy paper here to the front where you can put your return and your mailing address. And friends, that is how easy it is to create a one-sheet wonder envelope and card. What a great way to use up that stash of designer series paper you may have laying around. Get that out, cut it up, and create some amazing cards and envelopes. Remember, you'll have that template forever. So keep it in maybe a little baggie. I keep mine actually in a clear envelope and keep it there on my stamp room where I can easily get to it. So whenever I need a custom envelope, I know I can create one in a hurry. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. As always, I always hope that you enjoy the video. And if you did, would you give me a thumbs up there on YouTube? I always appreciate that. And if you have not subscribed, click the subscribe button. There's even a bell. And if you ring the bell, YouTube will notify you whenever I'm back with another video. We'd love to have you join us here on the channel. I share twice a week with you some really fun and amazing cards. So with that, friends, I bid you farewell. Have a great day, and we can't wait to stamp with you next time. Bye-bye.